Hey there, it's 12:43 p.m. It is July 14th in the afternoon, and I am just kind of waiting around a little bit. Now, I'm thinking about going into a different location today, mainly because I cannot find inspiration in my house, okay? I find my house very boring, and I need more space. I need more visuals. I need more stimulation, okay? So I understand, like, when I run into these, like, dead ends, okay? Some people would rearrange the room, and I have rearranged my room so many times, right? It's just, I feel like the energy is very stagnant right now, and I need a different place to go. So, I usually go to the library, okay? And I have a few options of the different libraries I can go to, and I'm kind of deciding on which one I'm supposed to go to. A little bit later this afternoon, I think I'm going to work on just kind of making sure I have everything in order for I talked about my video that I'm making for my website. So I'm just kind of double checking all of that and trying to find some decent images that are going to go with it. And that's pretty much what's holding everything together, or like slowing me down, or not, preventing me from actually publishing my website, is that video. Okay. And like I said, I feel like I'm really moving on slow motion because I feel, like I said, it's what I had to deal with. You know what I mean? I do get the intuitive message that the issue is closed, meaning that people now understand that they were in the wrong for the bullying. Okay. But like I said, it's just the fact that I feel as though, kind of like I talked about, the days of Noah, when you're dealing with people who are ignorant or evil. And then also, I have also used the analogy of The Walking Dead. Just people that you're just like, I don't know anymore. I feel like I can't really trust people and that kind of stuff. And it just, because it was something that to me should have been resolved. It should have been resolved. Okay, it should have been resolved right then and there, the very first time I even addressed it. Because it's like it doesn't make sense other than the explanation of people just taking their anger out on a person. And it went along for too long. Anyway, I know I get the intuitive message that a lot of it had to do with people, kind of looking at me as different, like in the workplace. I try to get the best I possibly can out of work. I understand that there's sometimes you get involved in managers that really don't know how to work with people. I understand when you're in an environment at work. I am actually talking a lot about this, okay? Not just in the moral reset, but in some of my work relating to Gordon's occupational engineering. I understand how unnatural the workplace is. Okay, the workplace is an unnatural place. Okay, it doesn't matter who you are, what color you are. It is not in our regular routine to be in a diverse group of people within a certain amount of people, a certain amount of hours, right? To suck up all your time, and then even professionalism. Professionalism is a great thing. It's a great tool. Okay, it's good because it allows us to use a form of social etiquette to interact with each other. Okay, but sometimes when you're dealing with work environments where you know good and well, okay, that it really bothers you that you have to sit here and hold back on people that deserve they deserve to be cussed out. They deserve to be, disrespected just because of the attitude that they bring into the workplace with their bullying tactics or whatever. So, deep down inside, okay, your natural inclination is to bash these people into oblivion, okay? So there's a lot that you hold back when you go to work every single day. Okay, so I fully understand that. Okay, and I think that a lot of these true natural feelings do not get discussed when we're talking about psychology and how it relates to the workplace. Okay, so yeah, and I do get that intuitive message that the EDD was behind. They were kind of, bringing other people, I think like Donald Trump, into my last meetings and everything. And a lot of it had to do with me just being comfortable at work, me, and a lot of the people that I used to know, okay, are kind of seeing who I am. And it's starting to make sense to them who I am because they remember me, being the victim of their hate growing up. Okay, so there might have been some people who I used to know who may have been a part of that meeting. Okay, so when it comes to these agencies, okay, I can understand Donald Trump having a front row seat, even though it's probably done all online. Okay, I can also understand people like the White House being involved, but when it comes to my personal matters, that is something I deserve to have privacy. So when it comes to issues like the EDD or certain organizations, it's like my relationship with the EDD should be a personal file. Meaning, like, it's supposed to be like, I provide my things like my social security number. I provide things like my home number, things that I should have the right to disclose certain personal information. So as long as they're working within those guidelines, I guess it makes sense, okay? But like I said, I don't think people should be making a mockery, or my appointment should be a form of entertainment. That, okay, that's a form of disrespect that I do not, and I'm tired of dealing with, okay? Now, anyway, so I was writing down some of this. Now, it seems like the main root of the problem, because I'm like, okay, obviously I'm a clone, right? And I understand that the issue was to resurrect certain people who had special gifts, and that perhaps these particular bloodlines felt threatened of, and they also wanted to compete with. Now, I am going to tell you right now, no one in their right mind would want to sit here and go into a war with anybody. Okay, that's not the point. Okay, because honestly, I grew up here in the United States. I believed in what, the freedom of religion, and I didn't think that I was ever going to have to battle religion. Okay, I understood that I have the right to stand up for myself, and that is the only reason why I'm doing it. I would have never, let's just say, for example, this never exploded to the point of where it was. It never was into me to sit here and make videos about bashing Christians or talking any crap about them. I was basically standing up for myself when I realized I was a victim of human trafficking. Now, the message that I'm getting right now is that a lot of people do agree with my view of marijuana. Okay, marijuana is a legal substance here in the state of California, and there's a couple of other places here in the United States that are making it legal, okay? And it's just like the same sort of hassles. Like if I saw my neighbor drinking a beer outside in their backyard or whatever, I'm not sitting here saying anything, okay? And there was a time where in this country where alcohol was like one of those debatable subjects. We look at people drinking alcohol all the time now. It doesn't even faze us, okay? And so slowly but surely we would be the same thing. Now, but a lot of people do agree with that, and I agree with it as well. Also, I'd like to say when it comes to alcohol and marijuana consumption, okay, like I could sit here and drink a crap load of alcohol the night before, okay, and the next day I'm going to wake up and is a very good chance, okay, that I'm going to wake up disoriented. I will probably have a headache, okay. With marijuana, it is not the same. It is not the same, okay? I'm not going to deal with any hangovers or anything like that. That does not mean that you are not supposed to be responsible with it, and I know how to be responsible with it. Let's just say, for example, I was babysitting somebody's kid, right? I would know not to smoke marijuana in front of that kid. I would know not to, introduce marijuana to a kid or glorify marijuana in front of a kid. It's about being responsible, okay? There's a lot of people who drink alcohol, which is a legal thing, okay? And they can sit here and be an alcoholic in front of their kids, encouraging them to do that. I understand what's appropriate for kids to be able to see and what is not, okay? So it's all a matter of how responsible you are with that substance, okay? So like I said, when you hear of people like bringing up things to try to prevent people from getting a job, okay, and they're making a big old deal out of it, you got to understand there's something behind it, okay? Now, the intuitive message that I get is that people are supportive in me and Elon, okay? Now, I understand that Elon Musk and I have a lot of things in common, and I don't really get a chance to talk to Elon as much as the thing is, I'm very consumed in my own head right now, mainly because I am not comfortable with being in this situation. Okay, I'm very grateful for the assistance that I am getting, but I also am not comfortable with dealing with people. I have a lot on my mind right now. Okay, and then I also, and it's like I don't know Elon very well. All I know is that I like him. I like seeing his picture. Okay, I think he's kind of cute and witty, and he's, and I understand that we have a similar background. And I also get the intuitive message that Elon might be a little bit mystical. He might be a little mystical. He has an interest in mysticism, okay? And chances are that could have been the reason why he was resurrected in the first place by these German people who he was part of the group, okay? That were brought back, right? To compete with, okay? And like I said, we would have never, sat here and willingly participated in something like this. If somebody said, hey, we're going to bring you back so that we can compete against you and hurt you and do all these kind of things, we're automatically going to have more power than you, meaning more manpower, because we have the ability to, convince other people. We would never do that. Okay, and I wouldn't even do it if I knew that I had the ability to have more people on my side. I do not believe that I would ever. There's nothing about me, and I don't like to speak for other people, but I'm pretty sure he would not sit here and agree to come back to under these sort of conditions. Nobody wants to be in a war. Okay, my life is all I want to do is like just be peaceful. I don't want anything like that. But I have a gift, and it was something that was given to me by the divine, okay? Which means that it's above even something that a man could even control or even request. It's a spiritual gift. Okay, and this is one of the reasons why we have things like, and I'm not trying to cut down religion, but religion really has, like, watered down the occult origins. Okay, like now I would see that religion is pretty much showing more things like symbolism. You can see symbolism that relates back or traces back to the occult when you look at certain things, okay, in religion. Okay, but they don't really talk about those things. Okay, so it's about suppression. Okay, and that's all I'm going to say about that sort of stuff. Okay, but the thing is that I would never want to be at war with anybody. Okay, but I am a peaceful strategist, meaning like I understand things like my rights. I understand that this is not something deliberate that I would have done on my own. I would have never ever ever come back, especially in the means that I did, growing up in a family as ignorant as mine. Like I'm looking back at my mother, Mary Gordon, and I understand she was a very ignorant, bitter woman who wanted to take out her problems on everybody. This is, and I understand her why she was feeling that way, and the root of her issue, and the root of it really comes down to the Christianity thing. Okay, and it has nothing to do with disrespecting God. It has everything to do with people who had a little bit of power. Like it's considered power. Like if I merged forces with a group of people who were manipulating things like genetics and stuff like that, and we were merging together, like they're keeping the records of genetics, and then we have people who have the ability to manipulate genetics and clone people. I would feel pretty fucking goddamn powerful too. I would be like, I could rule the world, right? But we got to understand the sort of things that these people did with this sort of power. Okay, they did a lot of destructive, disturbing things. Okay, and so I get the intuitive message that I've educated a lot of celebrities and politicians on the issue of burden babies. Okay, but this is what it is, and so we've normalized it throughout the years. Okay, to where people don't think about, okay, here's this person that just came back from the dead, right? And they were like this throughout their entire life, and people don't think about, okay, how did this person come about? How did this person come about? I came about through cloning. Okay, and the cloning issue was all related to racial issues, racial purity, all of this other stuff. It had nothing to do with Jesus, but they used this through the church system, including race. I mean, indoctrinating certain races that if they came down to it, they would even bother saving you, which was clear when we did this whole issue of the DEI thing. Okay, because DEI was not in any way protecting all of these diverse races that attend their churches. Okay, it was only supposed to be benefiting, I guess, white men. Okay, to keep their white women in submission, and then of course, find excuses to keep everyone out of the workforce. Okay, so anyway, I don't want to go on and on about the hate crime that I just lived through. Okay, and that everyone else witnessed. Okay, because that's not the really reason why I got online. I'm trying to like bide some time. But I do think it's important that you understand that they have left me with very little positive things to think about. So this is the reason why I'm continuously falling back on this issue. I literally have to, I am so tired of having the same conversation over and over again. It's like I need new experiences, okay? And I need new experiences, and I would like to spend those experiences with Elon Musk. You know what I mean? I want to do things with him. You know what I mean? I keep getting this intuitive message about my alien spread that I put in my last third quarter newsletter about the aliens. And I look at myself as an angelic origins, okay? And I would think that if you look at it in biblical terms, you would probably refer to me as angelic origins, okay? But I think a lot of people look at me as an alien, okay? And like I said, these are otherworldly type beings. So I'm going to say that they're one and the same. One and the same, okay? Yes, I am known as an occultist of the free thought movement, which is one of the reasons why a lot of people took offense to me. Specifically, the Christian denominations took offense to me. And like I said, what they're really defending is they don't know. They don't know what they're defending because, like I said, all these Christian denominations for years have always been told and taught in the public that they were all separate. They didn't agree on what happened to us in the afterlife. They didn't agree on the issues of marriage, even. Like, some of them thought it was okay to get divorced. Some people don't believe in divorce. Some people believe that it's okay to have interracial marriages. Some Christian groups don't. None of these Christian groups agreed on anything, but what they did agree with is to get rid of and target Maria Gordon. So this was a hate crime. Hate crime. Okay? Anyway, a lot of people do acknowledge the fact, including all the churches, recognize that I am a higher level than anyone here on earth. And the reason why is because of my moral system, okay? And my ability, my intellectual abilities, okay? So I'm in a different class than everybody. Meaning, like, not saying that I'm like a high society person, because obviously I'm not. You know the neighborhood I live in, okay? But I'm basically saying is I have a higher moral standard than other people. I conduct myself differently than other people, okay? And actually, I'm somebody who is a social reformer in some ways, because when I'm not saying people have to be like me, but they certainly should have the manners and the sort of understanding on how to deal with other people, which they lack. And this is one of the reasons why I am somebody who is able to talk about things like the moral reset and trying to educate other people. Okay, so what else? A lot of people do understand the reason why I am so in love with stuffed animals and cute stuff. Okay, and I know in the last few years, a lot of people have, believe sales have increased because of people buying things like stuffed animals. I've even seen some stuffed animals that are supposed to have some sort of vibrating motion or whatever to help hug you and stuff like that. There's a lot of people are dealing with their emotional problems in a constructive way instead of feeling like they're completely all by themselves, and some people might even opt for things like suicide. Now, mind you, this particular group of Christian people, that is exactly what their goal is. One of the fun things that they like to do is Christians want to make sure that you suffer. So this is what they do. This is one of the reasons why they had people bullying me. This is one of the reasons why they want to make sure that they find out everything about you so that they can make sure that your dreams do not come true. This is a part of what they are. That sounds like demons to me. You know how like demons like to torment? This is why I'm talking about their attitude. Okay, they're the ones who create these people, meaning clones, and then they sit here and destroy the life of the clone for no other reason, okay, other than to feel superior towards it. Because I will tell you, when it comes to religion or how God views our soul, it has nothing to do. That is not a necessary requirement. Okay, you don't have to, die and then be brought back again and then be converted to the religion. No, you do not. Our souls are completely different. Okay, so they wanted to punish me. This is one of the reasons why they took my car. And this is one of the reasons why, certain people are, what do you call it, eunuchs or whatever. Okay, so they've been doing this for a very long time. It is not something from God. It is from man, meaning that man has abused their power. Okay, and now I'm talking about the thing relating to the baby mills and people being, trafficked into, situations like having babies and having children and getting married, and these marriages may not even be legal. Okay, that's one of the reasons why in my human trafficking video, I do talk a little bit more about the legalities of marriage. What constitutes an actual marriage? Because when you have people who are trying to, and I know they're not going to teach you this in the state required, human trafficking video. They're probably going to be very general, okay? I'm going into certain situations, okay, and I am talking about marriage. Okay, you have to have a marriage license in order to be recognized in the state of California. Okay, now everybody has a different marital requirements in their state, okay? But I talk a little bit about this. The reason why is because these people seem hell-bent on money and the commodification of certain individuals. So who's to say they might look at people who get married, like, for example, forcing me to marry Elon Musk, because together we might be more of a more of a profitable type couple, okay, and however that works, okay, in terms of net worth, billions or whatever. I have no idea how all that works. I don't want to know, okay? It sounds dark, and I don't trust any of these people. But my point is this could be the reason, okay? But when you get down to it, in the state of California, okay, you have to have a marriage license in order to be married, and I don't have any signed marriage certificates, okay? But see, this is very concerning for people because a lot of people, if these people are doing this from religious standpoint, okay, they could be doing things behind the scenes, and maybe like forging documents, like to where they might be pretending to get married, and then so killing off certain individuals so that other people can get life insurance money. Okay, I do not trust anybody who would human traffic another individual, because look what they're willing to do. Okay, so this is the reason why I feel very uncomfortable dealing with these people. Because number one, the things that they do show that they're ignorant. Okay, you cannot just sit here and pretend, or say, a guy can't just look at a girl and say, I want to marry her, and then do all this sort of stuff. There are legal, things that are like security measures. Okay, this is one of the reasons why I was talking about things like Sarbanes-Oxley. And in this case, when I'm talking about human trafficking, Sarbanes-Oxley is basically, it's like a compliance thing, okay? That's supposed to protect, things that can relate to fraud going internally or externally, okay? So when I'm thinking about human trafficking or training videos, I'm thinking about, okay, loopholes and all this other stuff. And I would say this whole trick about getting married is something that you need to look out for. So if you don't remember signing any marriage documents, which the security measure when it comes to the marriage license is you have to have 2 signatures on a marriage license in order for it to be recognized, okay? And it has to be witnessed by somebody in the court office or whatever. It has to be facilitated officially, okay? So these are the things I do talk about in my training video, okay? So, because these are the sort of tactics that these people use. Now, I don't know if these training videos that are becoming required are talking about the tactics. Mind you, the operation that swept over the country was run by these people. So if these people felt compelled to make a human trafficking video, I honestly do not think it's going to be as educational and detailed as what I'm telling you. And now I'm starting to get this message about being protected. Okay, so a lot of people realize that my issue is outspread. I mean, widespread. Like, people know what I'm talking about. Okay, and then people think that I have high standards. Okay, yes, I do have high standards. Okay, a lot of people think that I'm close to Elon Musk. I would like to get closer to Elon Musk, at least as a friend. Okay, and yes, maybe there might be something even more than that. But like I said, right now, I find that he and I have certain similar things relating to our background, the exploitation of our lives, and I feel as though this is the kind of person that I need in my life, because who is going to relate to all of that? Like, that's just so over the top, you know what I mean? So I feel like he would be a good friend to reach out to. So I'm hoping that I get to spend more time with him. And like I said, I don't bombard his message, his phone with text messages. I try to be as mindful as I possibly can, but I also don't want him to feel like I'm not interested in him either. So, I try to make sure that I don't send a bunch of messages to him, you know what I mean? But I also am very empathetic, because I understand that, I'm often spend a lot of time by myself, and I wonder, does he spend a lot of time by himself? Does he get lonely? And I do want him to know that I'm trying to be his friend and show that I do care. Okay, so I'm trying to be balanced and all that without being, overwhelming. Okay, but anyway, going back to the stuffed animals, yes. Okay, if you're somebody who is a very loving person, you're going to need to have that expressed in some way. So stuffed animals are great. Okay, I know when I was a little kid, my mom, my phony mom, right, used to sit here and take stuffed animals and make them talk to me, and it would be so fun. It's like, this is what's so weird and tragic about it. It's like, you're not like, she's a method actor. That's all she was. Okay, this is a part of the program. I had a fake family. Okay. But anyway, yeah, that blows my mind, right? But it was still a time where I really thought, I love things like stuffed animals. I love things like fairy tales. I love delving into the child world, okay? And no, I am not saying bring that to the office, or the New Earth office is what I'm building this model off of. No, I don't see, I would not do that, okay? That's ridiculous, okay? I don't think our offices should look like romper room, is what I'm saying, okay? But there are certain people who have these kind of trinkets at their office, at their desk. As a matter of fact, I saw some Fisher Price miniatures, right? That I thought would look really cute on a desk. Okay, it's not big, it's not obvious, but who's to say? I mean, if a person's feeling down, sometimes their childhood is the only positive time that they have to reflect on. You know what I mean? And I know that Fisher Price toys are really cute. You can't bring a big one, but you could have one like, on the side of your desk, or you could have something like that. It helps uplift the mood, okay? And I'm somebody who sees the benefit of childhood and the beauty of childhood. And I will tell you, when I think about being a kid and wanting to be an adult, I'm like, man, that was really dumb. But I mean, I couldn't prevent that from happening. I mean, you grow up, right? But childhood was just so much more beautiful than being adult. It just hands down, there is just no comparison. Okay, but yes, I mean, stuffed animals are good. Also, role playing through dolls is actually very positive to do. Okay, just because somebody does these things, sometimes it's a form of comfort. There are other alternatives that could come or that could come about for somebody who has been psychologically abused their entire life, and I would say that that would be me and people like Elon. Okay, so I could either make that turn me into an evil person, to where I could go into a workplace and just start like killing people, or I could channel that into something positive. And I think that self love is the best thing that you can do. You know what I mean? Like my stuffed animals, my arts and crafts, my clothes, my makeup, that kind of stuff is very good for people who have dealt with all kinds of pain. Like I said, no only person's going to give me love, to the kind of love that's acceptable to me, the kind that's not going to fall short or disappoint me, or somebody not being able to coddle me the way that I need to be coddled. That is completely within my control, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. The message I'm getting right now is that there's a lot of people who are purging Christians. I know this, okay, but this message keeps coming back. Co-workers across the country are turning in dual affiliations and vigilantes left and right, and that's good. Okay, and I'm like I said, I never want to resort to the painful tactics that these people resorted to me. Okay, why? Because when it comes to being like diplomatic or whatever, you want to make sure that you are always going to be the up and up. You are never going to resort to garbage like these people would. And I will tell you, it doesn't come across my mind in the first place. Okay, I fully understand people need jobs to survive. So that's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying Christians should not have jobs or try to prevent. I'm talking about the people who cannot control themselves, the people who sit here and like try to act like they're supposed to be in charge and violate state or federal laws relating to how the company is supposed to operate, all because they're on some sort of head trip. Okay, that is not acceptable. So for those individuals, they should lose their job. I am in no way attacking people's religious belief, because I would never do such a thing. Okay, what these people did was an absolute shame. Okay, and like I said, here in the United States of America. So anyway, what else am I getting? Okay, I get the message that people feel like I should be free to decorate my office space if that was where I'm going to be going. I don't know how that's all going to work. Like I said, I'm offering, online services. I'm also offering to come to the office here in Bakersfield while I'm here. Okay, like I said, and when I get to Lancaster, we'll see how all that goes. Okay. People think that I'm going to have an amazing summer. It would be even better if I could hang out with Elon Musk, and that's what I'm trying to do. Okay, so it seems like a lot of people are supportive of me and Elon. If you're somebody who's going to support me and Elon, make sure you connect with me on my new website, as well as if you need some sort of services here in Bakersfield, make sure that I'm the first one that you call. Also, the intuitive message that I'm getting is that the universal forces, along with people who are in a position of earthly power, meaning people who can yay or nay, or who have the ability, everybody knows that I do not want to be cloned. Okay, I do not want to be cloned again. I do not, but I want to make sure I make the best of this life. Okay, and I do not want to be cloned again, because number one, if you cannot guarantee that I am going to have an excellent life from the time I come out of the womb or the incubator or whatever, if you cannot guarantee that, then I don't want to be here. Okay, and like I said, I feel as though I'm doing what I can to make the world a better place. Okay, and how this world operates after I'm gone, I'm trying to leave you as much information as I possibly can. I do believe that the death process is completely natural. Okay, obviously, the reason why I have to sit here and bend over backwards and try to get myself encouraged in such ridiculous ways, like I have to sit here and burn candles, burn incense, wear the right color clothes so I can continue my journey, because I am not motivated to live that much. Okay, I'm really not. Why? Because the earth you have shown me a side of the world, okay, that has literally made me disgusted. Okay, you have shown me that the world is evil. Like, it's just disgustingly evil, and it's completely chaotic. and it's basically hell. Okay, so I don't see where coming back here is like the end all be all. But there's a lot of people who have things like generational wealth, right? So they have a reason to be here. They want to make sure that they keep coming back. And like I said, for those people, I think that's awesome. But you know what? You cannot continue living life the way that it's lived. Okay. The message that I'm getting is that people want to see me with Elon. People are supportive of me and Elon. People hope that I get more encouragement to move faster. People find that I'm they think I'm fascinating. And my 2025 third quarter went viral. And so thank you. No cloning for me. Thank you, thank you, thank you. No cloning for me. All right. That's it. I don't ever want to do that again. Okay. And I feel as though the reasons why I was cloned was a complete and utter disrespect for me to me, and I think it's wrong. You know, I feel as though this is obviously an evil program. Okay, so I'm asking that people in positions of power make sure if you want to continue cloning, do so in a humane manner. People, white, like I said, white people do recognize that I am the savior, and they do look at me as a very holy person. Okay, so back to the PG&E thing. Okay, I called PG&E and I let them know that they're going to get paid on Monday. Thank goodness. Okay, but like I said, you know, the only reason why I called, and I'm sure it's standard that PG&E does this, is just that I have been messed over so many times, and then the message that keeps coming into my mind is that there's a lot of people who are guilty of doing this sort of kind of harassment to me. Okay. And I know that this has happened to me before in the past. Like, you know, like for example, if I was late on rent, right? And let's just say, for example, I could have avoided a fee, or they could have been nice to let me just kind of let it slide. Okay. There's been times where people gave me a fee just because they wanted to make things difficult for me. Okay. And this is an example. Okay. I'm not saying this happened or didn't happen. I'm just saying this is an example. Okay. Of people and their, what do you call it? It's called passive aggressive behavior. Okay, it's like they are upset with you, they're angry, they can't tell you that they hate you, so they'll sit here and try to undermine you in these other ways. And the thing is that they know good and well I am not deserving of that. But what they're upset is that for the very longest time, and some of these people have been bullying me and raised to hate me from day one. Why? Because the church was sitting here having their fake ass, pastors behind the pulpit encouraging this sort of monstrous behavior. So these people are like, hey, I'm on fire. I'm on fire for my hate crime, because this is what they're used to. Okay, and so when they find out they don't have a right to, then they're like, oh, I just kind of want to take a jab so bad. Okay, once again, if I feel like somebody's taking a jab at me, I'm going to expose them right then and there. It is what it is. So I did mention PG&E. I did talk to a representative. I will be taking care of the bill next week, the full bill. Okay. I know PG&E, the whole website thing, it seems completely different. I don't recall getting a bill. I have not, that I know of. Of course, mind you, I don't really check my Gmail account, right? I avoid my Gmail account like you don't even know. Why? Because I've dealt with trauma so many times, okay, with stupid Indeed.com shit and all this other nonsense. So I don't want to deal with it. So if they did send my bill to the Gmail account, I may have missed it. But I also know that they have reconfigured their website. So I basically filled out my new information. My information is going to be associated with a different email address now. So, and I let her understand that, I understand there was a bill, and I understand that I needed to pay for it and everything. I wanted to make sure that she understood. I want to make it sure that and I talk to customer service representatives, that I know that I have been a victim of human trafficking. And yes, it did infiltrate the churches. There was no need for me to go into that with her, but I know. Okay, so the message I'm also getting right now is that people are talking about my interest in Mad Magazine, stuff like that. Yes, I will say that I got the Mad Magazine because I have nothing else in my mind to think about. Oh, I could think about Elon Musk, maybe like fantasize us like walking on the beach, holding hands or something like that. One of those romantic thoughts. I'm sure that what people think that I sit here and dwell on all the time, right? But see, what I think about when I think about Elon Musk, as cute as he is, I also remember that he's also associated. See how this kind of stuff in my mind, just like everything relates back to the nonsensical garbage of being a clone and being a part of this weird group, right? So what I need to do is change the subject sometimes, okay? And the only thing I like to do is think about absurd stuff. Absurd skits, absurd humor. I even thought about making like puppet shows just to, either enact some of the weird stuff that I had to deal with through puppets or whatever. You know what I mean? I find creative ways to get off the subject. And I would say the Mad Magazine, which I got to tell you guys, if you guys get the chance to purchase that edition, okay, it's called the Mad Spoofs the 80s. If you get a chance to get that special collector's edition, I suggest you go ahead and do that. Okay, the other message I got is that, a lot of people are shocked about the baby meals, and yes, I am too. Okay, so this is like me coming to the understanding of, how these sort of abuses are actually functioning today. Okay, so now we have people who have been created, okay, and they need to be treated humanely. They need to be treated humanely, and they need to be make sure that they are protected from any further abuse. Okay, because I will tell you that for me, I know that I've been dealing with abuse for my entire life. My entire life, okay? Through, they allow your family to abuse you, and then your family feels as though in order for them to integrate and have friends in school, then they have to sit here and be a part of the hate crime. Now, I will tell you, if this has nothing to do with Jesus, Jesus would never dream up of something this dark, okay? But like I said, the Nazi thing and the Mormon fusion and all the church denominations and stuff goes back even before Operation, what do you call it, MK Ultra. Okay, because when you think about it, my father has been he's been cloned, okay, and that happened way before that. But I will tell you, these particular operations and cloning and understanding about more ways to manipulate the mind, more ways of controlling people through the Ultra programs and everything else, has just put people and literally have like buried people into layers upon layers of mind control. Layers upon layers of mind control. Okay, the message I get is that Elon is happy that, I'm paying him attention. You know what I mean? And I think that's cool. You know what I mean? That's cool. I like him. I like him a lot. I do. What else is the message I'm getting? I am, like I said, I need to finish my thing. And in order for me to finish my video, I need to get out of this house. Okay, I cannot stand here. I cannot be here. I do not find the encouragement here. I think if you're somebody who's burnt out, I suggest rearranging your bedroom, adding some different color or whatever. I have rearranged my bedroom so many times. Okay, and yes, I can go out to like the my patio is okay, but the thing is that I still need to clear out some other stuff out of it. And then also, I do not have any plants out in my patio area. And plus, it's super hot outside. So I need to be in a place that's air conditioned and it allows me to sit and function on my work. And I did find a little spot at the library. Okay, now, I don't know if I'm going to go to the library that's close to my house, or should I take advantage of the bus pass that I got and just kind of go on the other side of town? Or could I go maybe to like a Starbucks or something and stay a few hours there? I don't know what I'm going to do. I just need to get the hell out of this house because I'm going crazy. I'm going crazy. So anyway, let me see here. There's another message I got. Okay. A lot of people are saying, what a message I'm getting is like, people, don't get discouraged. You'll get your website. I only have the video to add. Okay. Now, I did add one link to my current issue of the Swan Song Manifesto. I'm thinking about adding the archive issues as well. Okay. Another message I got is that, yes, I understand about Elon, and I understand that Elon is a very special person. Okay. And that's all I'm going to say. I fully understand. I totally get it. Okay. I get it. If that's what you need me to explain or say. Okay. And yeah, what I'm saying is like, I am not immature. I understand how to deal with adult issues. I understand how, just because a person enjoys those things does not in any way mean that they are not able to handle adult issues, or that they're not mentally capable, or that something's wrong with them. That doesn't mean that there's something wrong with them. Some people have to resort to these sort of things because they don't have anything else. Like, I don't have anything else. I don't, like, I can hug on my son, right? But my son is 31 years old. He's a grown man, okay? Most of the time, I do hug my son, okay? But, like, I can't sit here, like, pinch his cheeks and, like, make him, like, a little stuffed, treat him like a little baby, okay? That's ridiculous. He's a grown man, right? So, and I certainly do not have the ability to sit here and I don't want to be a parent. I don't want any of that sort of stuff. So, the best thing is my little stuffed animals, okay? And I love them. And they love me. So anyway, I'm going to wrap up this video. I will be back with another video sometime later. Take care. Bye-bye.